Alright, so get this. Today's dive takes us on a treasure hunt, but not just any treasure hunt. We're digging into the symbolism on, wait for it, the US dollar bill.
Yeah,
The one that's probably in your wallet right now.
that's pretty cool. It is interesting how something we use every day can be so loaded with hidden meanings and even conspiracy theories.
Right? For this dive, we've got many sources, some historical websites, and even checked out some stuff on the crazy side of the internet, all trying to decode the dollar secrets.
I mean, it just shows you that people can't help but to figure out what things mean, especially when it comes to money and power and stuff like that.
So true. So our mission is to separate fact from fiction. We're going to be looking at how these symbols have been interpreted over time. What does it all say about how conspiracy theorists view authority?
Right? Like, why is the number 13 everywhere on this thing? Is the Eye of Providence actually watching us? Is there like a satanic connection lurking in the design? Who knows?
Okay, well, to start, let's look at the back of the bill. You got the Great Seal of the United States. You see the bald eagle, representing strength and freedom. There's a lot more to it. So we've got the olive branch, that's for peace, and then the arrows, that symbolizes the power to possibly wage war. That's pretty standard symbolism for America, would you say?
Yeah, pretty much. But here's where it gets interesting. You get the number 13. 13 arrows, 13 olive branches, 13 stars above the eagle, 13 stripes on the flag, and even 13 steps on that pyramid. It's kind of wild, right?
That's a lot of 13s. But 13 stands for the original 13 colonies of the United States. Or is there something, deeper going on?
Yeah, I mean, the historical significance is there, obviously. But it's this repetition that really becomes like a central point for conspiracy theorists. Some conspiracy theorists think it's like a deliberate sign left by secret societies like the Illuminati. This conspiracy theorist states that the Illuminati loves to hide things in plain sight. Occasionally, the symbolism is clear and right in our faces.
Hold on, the Illuminati? Who are they again? Just to remind me.
Okay, so the Illuminati, they were the supposed secret society founded in Bavaria back in the 1700s. They wanted to abolish social hierarchies, challenge religion, and promote reason and knowledge. Pretty radical stuff for that time. The Bavarian government ended up shutting them down. But the thing is, this whole idea of a powerful, shadowy group, like pulling strings behind the scenes, well, that just stuck around. And that's where our modern day Illuminati conspiracy theories come from.
So, these conspiracy theories are saying that the Illuminati, even though they were shut down centuries ago, somehow snuck their way back into the design of the US dollar.
Exactly. A conspiracy theorist website, Spyscape, quoted Robinson and Abby Augustine Barrel, who are the authors of memoirs illustrating the history of Jacobinism. They argue that the Illuminati survived, having infiltrated a Berlin literary society and Masonic lodges. They point out that the Wishwap was banished, but not imprisoned, so he carried on writing and working.
I mean, I can kind of see how that might be a tempting theory to believe, but let's move on. What about the Eye of Providence, that all-seeing eye above the unfinished pyramid? What's the deal with that?
Oh, yeah. Originally, the Eye of Providence was a Christian symbol. It's the watchful eye of God. It's found in many religions and cultures. The idea is to convey a sense of divine providence, this higher power overseeing human affairs.
Yeah, right? Its use can be found in religious art of the Renaissance period to represent God. I'm sure there are still a lot of conspiracy theories about the Eye of Providence though, right?
You couldn't be more correct. The website Satan on the dollar bill mentions the all-seeing eye is the elite's favorite symbol. It represents the eye of Lucifer.
So instead of God or art, it's the devil watching over us. Is that what they're saying exactly?
Yes, as crazy as that sounds.
Wow. Okay, this is where things really get interesting. What about those Latin phrases on the dollar bill? Novus Ordo Seclorum and Inuit Coeptus. I've always wondered what they've meant.
Oh, yeah. Well, the Latin inscription Novus Ordo Seclorum translates to a new order of the ages. It was meant to refer to the founding of the United States as this new era in history, and Inuit Coeptus translates to Providence has favored our undertakings.
Okay, so historically it makes sense, but I bet conspiracy theorists have a completely different take on those phrases.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Satan on the US dollar explains that Novus Ordo Seclorum means New World Order. So, therefore, it says announcing the birth of the New World Order. Conspiracy theorists also say that this is the foundation of the New World Order's plan to unify the world's governments, religions, and money systems into one so the world can be controlled.
Wow, that's a big jump for the original meaning. Just to give this conspiracy theory a quick rundown, the author believes that this new world order means that the government of the world are coming together to take over religion and manipulating our currency so that the elites can control everything. That just seems insane to me. Okay, so we've talked about some key symbols on all these crazy conspiracy theories surrounding them. But what about the history? Didn't someone design all of this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's easy to forget that the Great Seal on the dollar bill was designed in the late 1700s. But we have the answer. The Secretary of the Continental Congress, Charles Thomson, created a design that was then slightly changed by William Barton. The Continental Congress approved this design on June 20th, 1782.
So you're saying the founding fathers weren't initially leaving behind hidden messages for future conspiracy theorists?
Not exactly. They were trying to create a visual representation of the new nation's ideals and aspirations. The eagle, for example. It was a very deliberate choice. The founding fathers made an appropriate choice when they selected the bald eagle as the emblem of the nation. The fierce beauty and proud independence of this great bird aptly symbolizes the strength and freedom of America.
Alright, let's look at our reliable government sources that bring us back down to earth a little bit.
That's a good idea. Separating the symbols from all the conspiracy theories that have piled up over time.
It's like getting a sneak peek behind those scenes. We get to see what the designers really had in mind.
Exactly. The government sources really get into the meaning of the eagle, the olive branch, the arrows, and those mottos, E pluribus unum and annuit coeptis. It gives us the historical context and the meaning of all of this.
So, what are some key takeaways? Let's start with the seal. We've touched on it already, but is there anything else new we can learn from it?
Yeah, the Great Seal is filled with symbolism. It's had some critiques and changes over time, but the olive branch has been part of the seal since 1782, as we talked about earlier. What is the eagle doing with the olive branch? What does it mean? The eagle always casts its gaze toward the branch, signifying that the nation desires to pursue peace.
But of course, we can't forget about those arrows in the eagle's other talon. What do those mean?
The arrows are there to remind us that even though the United States wants peace, it's also always ready to defend itself. It's acknowledging that building a nation isn't easy, that you need to have balance. You need to balance diplomacy with strength. It's like saying we're peaceful, but don't mess with us. That's a strong message for a brand new nation trying to make its mark on the world.
Absolutely, and the motto E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. That also reinforces the idea of unity and strength through diversity, right?
Yes. While it took many years for a seal of the United States to be finalized, this motto stuck and became the words scribed on the scroll in the beak of the bald eagle. The motto has important meaning for the United States of America. Our country began as land belonging to Great Britain. As we continued to grow, we became 13 colonies. When deciding to fight for our freedom, the colonists decided that it would be more powerful if all the colonies fought together. Out of 13 colonies came one nation. Out of our 50 states comes one nation. The motto describes our history and our belief that we are a nation that should work together as one.
What about the other Latin phrases on the dollar bill? Annuit coeptis, how is that interpreted?
Annuit coeptis translates to He, God, has favored our undertakings. It's a little bit vague, but the belief is in divine providence, like the idea that God was guiding our nation.
That makes sense, especially considering how religious many of the founding fathers were. They probably saw the birth of the United States as something really special.
Yeah, and Annuit coeptis shows that spiritual side expressing this belief that their efforts were aligned with a higher purpose. that they were working towards something, favored by God.
That is a good counterpoint to all the conspiracy theories surrounding the dollar bill. It's giving us the historical background we need to understand the real meaning behind these symbols and the values that they're supposed to represent.
It shows us that symbols aren't satanic. Their meanings can change and be reinterpreted. While it's cool to explore those new interpretations, especially those crazy ones, it's important to understand where they came from to avoid getting the wrong idea, especially when these misinterpretations can spread misinformation and those conspiracy theories. So let's talk about one of the most controversial symbols, the unfinished pyramid. We've mentioned the conspiracy theories, but what does it mean actually?
The pyramid was chosen because it symbolizes strength and durability. The ancient Egyptians built the pyramids as tombs, so they were supposed to last forever. So the founding fathers were trying to connect the pyramid to the ideas of stability and something that lasts. And the fact that it's unfinished, that was also intentional. It was a reflection that our country was just beginning.
So they were saying we've started something, but the future of this nation is still being written.
Exactly. But like we said, conspiracy theorists love to look at this unfinished pyramid and see a secret plan for world domination. Stating 13 granite stones in the pyramid, the 13 layers represent the 13 Illuminati bloodlines.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this dive. We've looked at the symbolism on the US dollar bill. We've gone through some of the conspiracy theories, and we've talked about the history behind why these symbols were chosen in the first place. We've talked about how powerful symbols are. They can really affect how we see things and even stir up strong emotions. It's wild how they can fuel hope in some, but fear in others.
Totally. And we've talked about how important it is to think critically. We have to question what we believe and be aware of, like our own biases, right? Those biases can really twist how we interpret things.
It's so true. But before we wrap up this dollar bill dive, there's one more thing we need to look at. It's fascinating and maybe a little weird. Numerology.
It's the idea that numbers have special meaning. Conspiracy theorists love this stuff, especially when it comes to the dollar bill. It's like they see the dollar bill as this giant puzzle with numbers just waiting to be solved.
And you know what number they always focus on?
Yep, 13. We've talked about it and how it's all over the dollar bill, right?
Oh yeah, 13 steps on the pyramid, 13 arrows, 13 stars. It's like it's echoing everywhere. Conspiracy theorists say the Antichrist will be associated with the number 13.
Sadly, it's not the Illuminati or the devil, but the designers wanted to honor the 13 original colonies.
There's another number that comes up a lot in these theories, 33.
33. What's so special about 33?
Well, in Freemasonry, 33 is the highest level you can reach. Freemasonry, the 33rd degree, is a title of honor and distinction.
We see the number 33 throughout the dollar bill. We see it again in the eagle, where one wing has 32 feathers, the number of the ordinary degrees in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. The other sinister wing has 33 feathers, the additional feather corresponding to the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite conferred for most outstanding Masonic service.
Wow. So they're trying to connect the numbers 32 and 33 with Freemasonry, and it's linked to a secret society. Who even are the Freemasons, and why do people kind of fear them?
Great question. The Masons of Ontario state Freemasonry is the oldest and largest fraternal organization in the world. Its members share a common goal of helping each other become better men. Its body of knowledge and system of ethics is based on the belief that each man has a responsibility to improve himself while being devoted to his family, faith, country, and fraternity.
Oh, okay. I'm starting to understand them now. They seem like nice people. Why would anyone fear them?
Well, the Freemasons are a very secretive organization that only allows members to be involved in what they do. The organization has extremely confidential meetings and rituals that have led to public mistrust. The Square magazine states that the secrecy of the organization is what raises concerns and ultimately what their purpose is as a group. Why do Masons guard their secrets so closely, some ask? What could they possibly have to hide? If their secrets are pure and not sinister, why not share them with the rest of the world?
Wow, that is crazy to think about. If they don't have anything to hide, why are they keeping it a secret? Seems kind of fishy, but I'm going to stick to believing that they do charity work and volunteer work. Back to the dollar bill. It's amazing how they correspond symbols, history, and numerology to create this big story. It really shows how what people believe influences how we see things. But even beyond these specific numbers, like 13 and 33, conspiracy theorists have all these complex systems for figuring out what numbers mean, especially in combination.
Yeah, they give letters and words numerical values so they can all analyze and all kinds of things, dates, names, you name it. They're looking for patterns, secret codes, all that. It's like they're trying to predict the future with numbers. Some people may think numerology is just a superstition, but it's definitely a big part of how some people interpret the dollar bill.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Alright, so as we wrap up this dollar bill dive, let's leave our listeners with something to think about. How do these symbols and how people interpret them affect how you see money, power, and authority in the world? Do you see the dollar bill as a symbol of opportunity, or do you see it as a symbol of oppression? Does it represent freedom, or does it represent control?
These are great questions to think about. Do you believe the conspiracy theories? There are no easy answers, but just asking these questions, grappling with these ideas, that's what makes this whole process so interesting.
Absolutely. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep an open mind. The dollar bill might just be a piece of paper, but the stories told about it, the meanings given to it, say a lot about who we are and what we believe.
Right. And we've been talking about how important it is to really think critically about stuff, to question what we believe, and to try to be aware of our own biases, because those biases can really mess with how we interpret things.
So, as we wrap up our dive into the symbolism of the American dollar bill, we want to leave you with one final question to think about. How do these symbols and how people interpret them shape your perception of money, power, and authority in the world today?
Do you see the dollar bill as something that represents opportunity, or is it more about oppression? Does it represent freedom, or does it represent control? What about those conspiracy theories? Do you believe them, or do you think they just show how we're always trying to make sense of a world that often feels really confusing? There's no right or wrong answer.
Although there is a right answer, Lindsay. But the cool part is asking those questions, thinking about those ideas and what makes this whole journey worthwhile. So keep on exploring, keep questioning things, keep an open mind. Thank you for tuning in with us on this journey, looking into the symbolism of the American dollar bill. We will see you next time.